we're back. Another episode of Big Six Bants. Welcome by fellow Spurs family. Lovely to see you all. I'm going to go straight into it. Cal, introduce yourself, my boy.
Yeah, obviously the Twitter rat's down there. My name's Callum. Catch man on the Never a Foul channel, doing views from the Skywalk Spurs show, talking everything Tottenham. Usually it's every week. Last couple of weeks we've been quiet, but we're going to have a little end of season wrap up at some point, probably on Monday.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for having me as well. Innit?
Yeah, man. Big love. Jack?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Should be good. I mean, it's got to be therapeutic, innit? Otherwise, we're going to sit here, come off here and be all angry and sad. But
for real.
Yeah, being
a
Spurs fan right now, you know, it isn't great, let's be honest. And we got a lot to dissect, so should be good. Obviously, my Twitter @ is on the little handle there on the Spurs Web YouTube channel as well. So doing my little thing and fingers crossed should be a good little episode.
Nice, man. Huh?
Yo, what's happening, people? It's Patrick Tyrant, aka Young Swaggy Daniels. When you see the T, see the P. When you see the P, that represents T. Let's go.
All right, go. And Sam?
I ain't as happy as Patrick is. Sam Spurs for Life, Paxton Road TV. We do everything Tottenham. Previews, reviews, reactions, talking point specials, and all the rest of it. And it's hard work. So I'm going to use this as therapy today. So yeah, let's get into this, man. I'm ready to do my 45 minutes of therapy. Let's do it, man.
Let's go.
Definitely. Be sure to check these guys out, definitely. We won't touch upon Kane just yet. We'll talk about the Villa game first. You know, shocking. Reguilon needs to get out here 100%. And yeah, Mason. Right, Mason.
We're just all sitting there laughing. We're just laughing.
If you don't laugh, though, you will cry. This is what the mans have done to us. If you don't laugh, you have to be emotional. And it's not, I don't want to get too emotional about it. You can help it.
Going out there beating up people, just randomly punching people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's mad.
It's like, do you know what? Someone said, I said it on the stream and I was like, mates rates like Mace. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys just play Harry Winks.
Or Harry Winks. Bro.
And how has Harry Winks got back into the team? Like, he's you notice at first he was getting snuck on, crept on 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Now he's starting like every game.
You know what?
He's done nothing to warrant these starts. And even when he's playing, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I've got a couple of theories about that. I was saying to a couple of people on different streams I've been on, I think they're actually trying to. I don't think Ryan Mason is fully in charge of picking this team, but I think that Daniel Levy is involved in this, and he's trying to maybe get some of these players onto the market to be sold. So he's probably saying, "Play Harry Winks. I know he's shit, but play him because I need to get him in the shop window." Dele Alli, the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Some of these players, Eric Dyer, what's he doing playing football for us? What's he doing playing football for us? This is what I'm saying. These players can only be in the team because they're trying to either get some money for them or he's just his mates. They're his mates.
For me, I struggle to stay optimistic about this club because I know come next season, half of this deadwood's still going to be here. Winks will probably still be here. Dyer will definitely be here. Sissoko will probably still be here. Lamela will still be here. How much years are we going to sit and just accept having these mediocre players in our club? And we can talk all we want about getting a new manager and or whatever, but unless the deadwood shifted and they then get a decent amount of money to spend on incoming signings, then nothing's really going to change with a new manager.
And this is the problem because, you know, Daniel Levy wants to get the biggest bang for his buck from out of these players. So he don't want players to run down their contracts, but he'll also hold other teams to ransom to buy these players. People like Sissoko, they can't really be playing for us again. Do you know what I'm saying? Eric Dyer should never play for us again. Winks should never be in the team again. You know, you got mans like Sanchez, who we paid 30-odd million for. He's absolutely a stinker in defense. What are we going to do?
It was 42 million, by the way.
What are we going to do? You know, you can't get rid of that player for 10 million because they're not going to take a hit like that. So it's like you said, we're going to have to keep some of these players just because Daniel Levy won't sell them. They won't sell them for not unless he can get.
And you know what as well? You know that when you squeeze a lemon and the juice is finished, it's gone. The lemon.
You don't want to buy another one. It's still
the lemon. Literally, the lemon at this point is crusty. It's dry. It's crusty. You're still trying to get some juice out of it. There's nothing left, and you need to put it in the bin. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like every player, like we're just clinging on to them. It's like some of the players should have been sold 3-4 years ago, even. Like, and this is the problem we got. We're too sentimental as well. Dele Alli should have been shipped ages ago.
Yeah,
there's so many players in the squad. Like, we just need a complete flush, and you're seeing it on the pitch. They can't perform.
If we're all being honest, we're most likely not going to get Europa League. I can't see us beating Leicester come Sunday. And I know people are saying that they might still want Conference League because there's a chance of winning it, which we won't. Money or whatnot. For me, I would like to see us completely out of Europe. Have a season where we don't need a big squad, so we can get rid of some of these players. And I feel like Levy then might open his eyes a little bit. No European football for Tottenham. You have to make some changes. You have to.
But Callum, just answer a quick question. Who's going to buy these players? That's the other thing. They might be up for sale, but who's buying them?
I think
nobody... I don't see anybody really, unless they're going abroad, unless they're going to a really lower level team. Some of these players ain't going to get it. They're not going to get into a top 8. Well, in my opinion, they should be getting into top 8 sides. So who's going to buy them?
Well, Harry Winks was linked with Valencia, I believe, or a Spanish team. Lamella's allegedly going back to Napoli or going back to Italy. I think Sissoko could go somewhere in France. I mean, he's rated highly by France. He's in the French.
He's in the Euro squad.
Yeah, he's in the Euro squad. Don't ask me how, but he's in there. So if we take a hit on these guys, we will get rid of them. But you've all been saying, Levy won't do that. So that's the problem.
Levy thinks these players are worth so much more than they are. And these players think they're so much better than they are. Winks, realistically, Winks is a championship footballer. Yep. He's got too much pride to realise that.
Yeah, perfect sense. He is a championship footballer. The reason why Sissoko gets into these teams, he's got pictures of certain people. He's got pictures of Daniel Levy. He's got pictures of Jose Mourinho. He's got pictures of Didier Deschamps. That's the only way he can get into these squads. How's he getting into these squads other than that? Do you know what I'm saying? Because he's not a good foot. He's past his best, and even at his best, he was a functional footballer for me. Yeah. He's functional. He's like my son was saying. He's a spare part that if we're missing a right back, I'll just throw Sissoko in there because he can do that. If we're missing someone in centre midfield, just dash Sissoko in there because we just need. Do you know what I'm saying? He's got no attributes to make him anything other than a bit part, which is terrible.
How is that guy a professional footballer? The tech is not there. It's non-existent.
We're better than him.
You know what it is? I disagree with a lot of what you lot are saying, to be honest. Simply because this is the same team that we took to a Champions League final. Winksy starting in there. Sissoko started in the Champions League final. Do you know what I'm saying?
That was when they was all
Harry Winks was linked with Man City for 40 M's. It can't all be.
I feel like that was a homegrown thing. Pep wanted a homegrown player to the quota that he could have sitting on the bench.
Man United wanted Dyer for 40, 50 M's at one point. Do you remember?
Jose was never worth that. Dyer was never worth that. He was a poor DM. He's a poor centre back. He played right back a little bit. He was poor there. The only good thing Dyer's done in his career is score that goal against West Ham on his debut. That's the only positive I can think of.
For England.
Just going back to that point that you made though, Ethan, about them lot were in the 2019 Champions League final team. We were lucky to get to that final. I think I've had this discussion before. We were lucky against City. That was VAR that gave us that decision to get to the semi-final against Ajax. And Ajax, in 99 times out of 100, we ain't gonna win that game. Normally. So do you know what I'm saying? We were lucky to get there, and in the final, we stunk the place out. So you know what I mean? So it weren't like we was like, oh, really, we stunk the place out, man. So them players, Harry Winks was at fault anyway for a number of stuff. Sissoko gave away. It's these players here. I've watched them close up, and I've watched a lot of they're not good enough. Poch clouded over that stuff by being able to get the maximum amount of these. You got the maximum amount of Sissoko.
The juice,
but when you're squeezing some juice, but when you watch him, you can't do nothing.
And do you know what?
Sorry, Jen, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, Pochettino's the 5 or 6 years, the work he done has been all unwrapped in the case of 18 months. Literally that quick, it's all unraveled, and we're back to square one again. All the progress we made. I don't care about training ground and the stadium and that. If the team's not performing and the manager's not performing, and we're not in the right direction on the pitch, I couldn't give a crap about state of the art. And to be honest, we're not dishing up just crap on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well. Raw food.
Bro, them pictures were outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous.
But Jenks, this is what Mourinho does. So he done this at United, makes the fan base, whole back fan base just think their team's nonsense and rubbish. Yeah. And even stuff I see, we're still recovering, even against Villa, or in fact, every game we've played under Mason, second half's been better. We're so focused on working on shape, we don't know how to play with intensity. I'm seeing it. Like, I do feel like we're still recovering from that Mourinho effect, you know.
Yeah, but then also saying that, I think Ryan Mason is way out of his depth. I know he stepped in.
He's drowning.
He's awful. Like yesterday, he didn't. There was no passion. There was nothing. He just stood there for 90 minutes. He didn't do anything. It took him to the 75th minute to make a sub, even though he could see he was getting overran in the middle. John McGinn was killing us yesterday. He was running the show.
John McGinn. Say that again. Say that name again. John McGinn. Running the show. That don't make no sense.
He was the best player on the pitch other than Grealish. He killed us. Like,
I was happy to see Grealish back though. I can't lie. I'm a big fan of him still.
I was happy when he got subbed off. That's
yeah.
It was man.
And bringing on debuts as well. That was taking the piss. 16, 17-year-olds.
I
mean,
no one was doing GCSE kids on the pitch.
They had two youngers, and one hit the post. One almost scored as well.
Embarrassing.
Oh God! When you think about that before, because like I said, with the Jose thing, I think there's a little bit of a pros and against Jose. Obviously, we know what Jose, when he's brought in, Jose wasn't brought in to do no rebuild. Jose was brought in for one reason and one reason, and to try and win us trophies. That experiment didn't work. You know what Jose is going to do? He's going to alienate some players. He's going to have best mates in other players. So you can clearly see the divide. But what it has shown, him now leaving, it's also shown that some of these players just don't care. You know, they weren't playing under him. If they're not playing under Mason, you remember, we hadn't had fans in the stadium for however long it was, nearly a year. I know we had that bit part where we had a few thousand in there, but 10,000 fans in our home game that we need to win, you expect them to at least be up for play. I don't care if the performance is not good, but you should be up for playing. We've all played ball. You get motivated. It don't matter if your skill levels, if you put in the effort. That's why FA Cup, teams from the lower leagues beat teams from the bigger teams, you know what I mean? Because they put in the effort. And that's all I wanted to see yesterday. Nothing like that.
Poor.
Also, the fact that they got the fans sitting up in the gods is taking the piss as well. Yeah. Taking the piss, like just to show some balance. That's what I'm assuming. It's all just that the sponsorships are shown on TV. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
But then again, man are willingly paying for them tickets, so Levy's laughing, and rightly so, because people are still paying.
That's stress. But boys, Harry Kane. Harry Kane.
Woo.
Harry Kane. I'll be real. I want to sell him just to restore balance. And, you know, I don't really want to be a club where we're holding on to someone just because we can. You know, we're holding on to someone because he's so great. You know, he's not committed. We've seen that. If he was committed, he'll come out and say it. But it's just not looking good, man. It's not at all.
I think he stays. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know where you guys sit with it. I think he might have the desire to go on to a United or a City or whoever it may be. But at the end of the day, Daniel Levy would have to be crazy, considering the pressure he's already under, to go and sell his most valuable asset and the guy, the player who's loved by every single fan at Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. He'd be crazy. And you know what as well? He's got the right to demand any fee he wants. The 3-year contract, timing is so important in football. With transfers like this, timing is so important. Unfortunately for Harry Kane, he's missed the chance to jump the ship. He should have done it when we left White Hart Lane. That's when he should have done it. He signed the contract, and now he shot himself in the foot if he wanted to leave. So I saw the interview with Gary Neville. I'm sure you guys have come across the quotes and etc. And he's talking about how he's got 7 years left in the tank, and he thinks he can go on for and he's not desperate, etc. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I still don't see him moving, and I don't know who's going to fork up the money in this current climate. We've got to remember pandemic as well. On top of that, who's going to do it? I don't know. I don't know what you guys think either.
Could see him again for City, to be fair.
Yeah, but City don't pay. I mean, to be fair, because I've been having this debate and argument all day in all the WhatsApp groups, and I'm the same as Senk. I think he stays, not because he wants to stay. I openly believe he wants to leave. I mean, the timing of the leak of him wanting to leave was so convenient for him. 2 days, 2 games before our last, two games left in the season, it gets leaked, so it starts putting pressure on the board, and then obviously him conveniently, who knows when this interview was recorded with Gary Neville, but lo and behold, look when it drops. Everything has been set up and timed perfectly by Harry Kane's camp, so it's clear he wants out. He's really putting the pressure out in the feelers, and without him saying he wants to leave, he's saying he wants to leave, innit? Like all the stuff about, I want to be competing at the top tier, I'm this, I'm that. But the problem, like you're saying, Senk, is that he tied himself into a 6-year deal when we were at the ascendancy. Poch had just signed a 5-year deal. Dele Alli had just signed. Son had just signed. We were about to move into the stadium. We were second in the league. Everything looked so great for us. And we were pretty much the new kids on the block. And we looked like we were going to be there and thereabouts for a while. But things have gone to shit, obviously. And the fact that he's got 3 years left of a 6-year deal, no matter if it's a COVID market, no matter what he wants to do, Daniel Levy can rightfully demand 150, 170 M's. And when you look at it for what Harry Kane is, he's the poster boy for Tottenham. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He's a guaranteed goal machine. You can't really argue with that. He's never going to go for 80, 100 million, as people are saying. That's ridiculous. When you look, sorry. So I was just going to say the market dictates as well the price of these players. When you're looking at Richarlison moving for 60 M's, Harry Maguire moving for 80 M's, even Havertz was like 90 odd million. There's no way Harry Kane's going for 100, 110, 120. It's easily got to be 150. And right now, who's going to pay that?
So you're right in what you're saying. I think the ball is in Daniel Levy's court. He's holding all the aces. The thing we've got to be mindful of, though, is the player's attitude. I don't think Kane's attitude is the type of player that's going to say, I'm not playing for you, I'm not going to put the effort in. He's England captain. He's got to obviously make sure he's got this wholesome image. So he's got all that stuff to kind of live up to. So I don't think he's going to throw his toys out the pram. But what I could see happening, the man's on a decent contract now. He must be on 200 grand plus. If he gets injured again, he might not be in too much of a rush to come back. And he will get injured next season, and he will be out for 2 to 3 months. But do you think that Harry Kane's now going to rush himself back to play for Spurs with no Champions League, no Europa League, playing in possibly this Conference League? He's not going to do that. So all the things is going to point towards we're going to keep a player. Yeah, he's going to maybe physically say he wants to play for us, but mentally he's not going to be there. Once you're not there mentally as a footballer, that takes off percentages of your game. I don't care what anybody says to me. He will not be the same player next season if he's forced to stay with us. We will get a version of Harry Kane, but we won't get the version that's scoring all the goals and assists now. He'll just do his job. And then when he doesn't have to do his job, he might get injured. You know what? I'm going to take 6 to 8 weeks to get better now, as opposed to let me rush back 4 weeks. So I'm not sure. I really think it's a real tough one. And I think he's almost forcing the board now to seriously consider, even if we get a bid in for 100 million, they're going to have to seriously consider that.
Yeah, what I've taken from his interview with Gary Neville is that obviously he loves the club. A big part of him probably doesn't want to leave, but at the same time, he's looking at his career and he's thinking, I've given my everything to these lot. One of the best strikers in the world. I can and should be doing a lot better than this. Like he said, he alluded to Chelsea, Man City in the final of the Champions League. He wants to be playing in them big games. He said something about having an open and honest conversation with Daniel Levy. I feel like this is Tottenham's last chance. He's going to go to Levy and most likely say, listen, if you want me to stay, you need to invest in this club. You need to get rid of the deadwood, bring in a good manager, a good director of football, and you need to show some ambition. And if Levy fails to do that and he's willing to let go one of the biggest talents we'll probably all see in our lifetime, then we're doomed as a football club forever, essentially. If this isn't an eye-opener for Levy to change his ways and really put the club, the football of the club at focus rather than the profit, then nothing will ever change.
And you know what as well? I'm glad that he's got the desire to go on and win trophies. That should be the mentality of every single one of our players, but unfortunately it's not. And I'm glad that he's maybe banging on Daniel Levy's door and saying, look, sell me. I'm going, I'm out because you're not serious. I'm glad he's done that. Rooney done something similar at United. He's banging on the ball's door and saying, look, it's not good enough. So I think that's what's got to happen. And fingers crossed, if it's not an eye opener for Daniel Levy now, then we're doomed. So I fingers crossed that things happen and things change, but I very much doubt it because the Leopards don't change their spots. So the thing is for me, we need there's some changes that's needed at the top as well. Now the Enic out thing, Enic in, I'm a bit on the fence with it because I don't think you can force these people to sell. And even if they did sell, you're going to have to get someone in who's going to have the best interests of the club to put the money in to spend like we did. But most people that's going to come in to buy a club, it's not millionaires and thousandaires, it's billionaires. And these people are not billionaires for no reason. They're business people. So they're coming in to look at it as a business. So when you're talking about getting Enic out, you're going to bring someone else in who's not going to be unless they're a sheikh or whatever it is that's going to come in and just dash money at us. We're going to get a business person who's going to look to maximize their profit from it. That's 100%. What I think Enic should be focused on, particularly Daniel Levy, is getting this director of football, as you mentioned, Callum. If he can get a director of football, keep himself away from all these transfer dealers. Let this man be his, the best of the best. Get that person to deal with the transfers,
get the best scouting system, and we can start doing things like what Leicester did. Get players, not necessarily the most expensive players, but someone that fits the system. We ain't got an identity, we ain't got a way of playing, so we need to get that sorted out before we can even think about, bringing in players and telling Harry Kane this and that. Because the next manager that you bring in, I don't care who it is, if we ain't got a strategy in place, a plan in place, we're going nowhere. In 2 years' time, we'll be doing the same thing again.
But I 100% agree. I 100% agree with Sam. I feel like I understand the Levy and Enic out protest. I'm not happy with Enic and Evie, obviously. But at the same time, like Sam says, these men are billionaires for a reason. Do you think they care what every fan has to say? They're lining their pockets regardless. And then if Levy and Enic leave, we're likely just going to bring in someone else who, again, doesn't care about the football club but wants to make money. We need Levy to really open his eyes and, as you say, Sam, step back from the football a little bit. Employ a director of football who knows about the game, not someone who's probably never kicked the ball in his life like Levy. Someone who knows about the game is actually going to recruit, sign good players, have a good recruitment system, rather than Levy picking the team and not really knowing what's going on.
100%.
And I agree with what you guys are saying. We are crying out for a director of football. However, we've been stung before. Because even when we've got a director of football, Daniel Levy still gets involved. Paul Mitchell publicly come out and said his dream job turned into a nightmare. He then went on to do bits at the Red Bull setup and then went to do bits at Monaco as well. Because he's a man who needs to do his job. A director of football just needs to do his job. No one needs to get involved. Him and the manager, him and the coaching staff do their thing. Not Daniel Levy. What's that guy? What does that guy know about football? And another person as well, Steve Hitchin. I mean, the guy played for like Bolton or someone like that.
Why is his cameo on the documentary was the worst 15 minutes of TV. And he's talking about how much he hates his job.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still got a job. And this is a guy who's the chief scout. He's probably got a similar powers to a director of football, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And this is a football club that wants to be in the top four in the Championship. He's not even got the credentials to say that this guy knows about football. He hasn't. It's disgusting.
But this is where Daniel Levy could learn his lessons. This is what I'm hoping that he's seen all this. And don't get me wrong, he's a clever guy. He's not stupid. He's very, very stubborn. Don't get me wrong. But he should be learning from his mistakes. He should be thinking to himself, you know what? I had Paul Mitchell in, one of the best in the business at the time. I messed it up. We're not going anywhere unless we get that sorted out. So he should be. This is how I would think if I was him in his position. Right. I'm not going to meddle. I'm going to let this person, like I said, you got to get the best in class. Get that person. Trust that person to do their job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're going to have you're going to have talks. You're going to make sure you're on the right track. But trust that person to do their job. Get that person then to get in the right cheap, and then make sure there's a proper strategy with regards to who you're going to buy. It's not just Davinson Sanchez, we're going to buy him because he's an Ajax player. Check these people out properly, man. Do your real research, like what some teams are doing, and getting players picking up gems. And we use Leicester as that example.
Southampton used to be like that as well. Jealous. Southampton, yeah, Leicester. Like you said, you guys that have a structure and they really know what they're doing. A structure from the top to the bottom, and that's where we've messed up, man. And I think this season is a real eye opener. I think yesterday the fans were voting against Levy, chanting Levy out, them having to turn up the tannoys and the PA system. Him really seeing everyone going to the protests. The fact that we're probably not even going to finish 7th, possibly 8th this year, it's a real eye opener for Levy now. There's no more juice left in the squad, and unless big changes are made, we're going to fall into mediocrity.
But Patrick, but is it really though? Because fans are chanting Levy out at the stadium. They still bought the ticket, and I'm not knocking anyone that's bought a ticket, because if someone comes out and says to me, "Listen, I'm Enic out, but I bought a ticket because I miss watching my team play. It's been a year and a half." Fair enough. I understand. You know what? But don't go to the game and then after the game complain about the price of the ticket when you paid for it.
You know what? I hear what you're saying. I understand though, because no fans have been in the stadium for essentially a year. They felt that they needed to go, and they've missed it. And the fact that there's only 10,000 fans, if you get the opportunity, you're not going to turn it down, no matter how much.
Yeah. But then complaining after about the treatment of the fans, then don't buy into it.
The thing is as well, and Patrick, you talked about the Levy out chance, which started briefly, and I spoke to a few people. Apparently, got quite toxic and quite aggressive as well with the players not coming out and stuff, etc. Sure, you guys know, but at the end of the day, Daniel Levy was there. That guy is still a human. That guy still has emotions. So if he's hearing that, he's gonna hear that. He's definitely heard it. He 100% heard it. He's still a person. He's still got emotions, and he's going to hear that.
I'd like to think he does. I've never seen.
I think he does. Do you know what?
I've never seen no expression on his face.
I think the pressure's on. I think the pressure's on. And if you're talking about the club as well, They're sending out reminders for the season ticket renewals. There is pressure on the club to get things right. It's not just, shouting Enic out. People are flying in with the emails. And I know it goes through all their PR team and executives, but they're still bombarded with all that. People are not renewing. People are protesting. The trust have demanded to resign. They've now changed their stance. But there's pressure on the club. And their position right now is untenable. The same with the other top 6 clubs. The Glazers, pressure's on. Kroenke. It's not just Spurs as well. It's the other thing. And the only good, owner in the Premier League right now, and I can sit there and say, you know what, I know enough about him to think, is Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester's 100%.
And it's rare in football. And all these top six owners with the ESL. ESL, we had the audacity. Look
what's been happening with Arsenal. They've been trying to get their people out. It's not the Glazers, Kroenke out for years. Man United have been trying to get the Glazers out for years. Newcastle have been trying to get what's his name out for years. Yeah, it's not you can't just get these people out because we're a business, and I don't care what anybody wants to say. Football is now a business, particularly the Premier League. So we can't lose sight of that. So when we get that in our focus, a business has to be sold to business people. We ain't going to have fans collecting their pocket money up and saying, we're going to buy the club off you because we can't afford to do that. So it's going to have to be billionaires. And once you got billionaires coming, as I mentioned before, these people ain't coming in to really lose money. I think Daniel Levy and Enic, when they bought Spurs back in 2001, they bought it for like 20-odd million. The thing's now worth 1.2 billion.
Locked up.
Plus. So I think it's 1.8 billion it's valued at because obviously the stadium, training facilities, all the rest of it. So those people thinking to myself, I'm not going to just give up this. Why would they do that? They're not just going to do that. So we have to find other ways to make sure that they do the right thing within the club. And this is my main focus is about, okay, we're not going to get these people out, but we can put enough pressure in to say, right, we can't accept. We can't accept them not putting structures in place and getting that right. That's what we can't accept.
No, you're right. And you know what? Enic out is the current message, but it's not the solution. It's not. That's just a fact. But the thing is, I think the moral is to put pressure on them and for them to understand that we're not happy. Because if we sit here and we shut up and we don't say anything, then it's not going to work. It's going to get worse, 100%. Isn't it?
I agree.
So the best thing we can do is throw up our arms and scream and shout when we can and make our feelings known. So we'll just see how it works out.
It's a bit controversial and people are definitely going to disagree with me. But Cenk, you mentioned the ESL. If I'm being honest, that's a stroke of genius from Levy to get Tottenham involved in the ESL. And if we're all being honest, if the ESL went through, we wouldn't be here discussing Kane leaving. Kane would be staying here, no question. I'm not saying I'm for it because I don't think it's positive for football in terms of no relegation and all of these things. It is ruining football in a sense. But if the ESL was to go ahead, I would much rather Tottenham were involved than weren't involved.
Oh, come on.
That's what
100%.
Yeah. But go on, Patrick. I'll let you say you're going to
I was going to say, of course, the media pushed it. Sky Sports, BT, they pushed the narrative that it was bad for football because they weren't involved in it. But honestly, think any other club fans, they would love their club to be there if it was happening. The fact that you're literally going to get 300 million a season, you'd be playing these primetime games. And at first they sold it as it's a breakaway league and you won't be involved in your domestic league. Then they turned around and said, no, you will be involved in your domestic league. And it's a superior Champions League kind of thing. So it made a lot of sense. So as much as we all don't want it to happen, the fact that Levy had us involved in that is a stroke of genius. I agree. That would have made us a super club. It would have made us basically one of the superpowers. But of course, it didn't go through, and now we are where we are. And exactly what you're saying, Cenk, it's literally we've just got to show that we're not happy. Because I think Ryan Mason came out the other day and said, no, everything is okay. The fans are all right. They're fine. But yesterday they saw for themselves that we're not all right. And the fact that they didn't even come out to do the lap of honor, and then it's only after fans sat in basically and said, we're not leaving until they come out, then they came out. So they know how the fans are feeling now. They've seen it for themselves firsthand. And then hopefully this starts to spark a reaction.
The ESL is a plan that I think is going to happen at some point again in the future in a different guise. It was taken away obviously from the Champions League. Now, the opposite of us being in there would be not being in there. And we would have probably been up in arms as Spurs fans. How comes we're not in there? How comes we've let them? So it was a double-edged sword. You're being in it and the fans are saying, we shouldn't be in it because you're selling our soul. But if we weren't in it and we weren't financially competing with these teams and falling way off, would have been the other opposite. Why are we in this? Why Spurs are falling behind? So it was kind of like what the problem with the ESL is they didn't have enough time to put a counter argument together to say, okay, we're going to forget about this relegation business. We're going to do something else. We can. There's ways they could have to do that, and I think they could have sorted that. And this is what I think the next round will be. When they sort that out, there's going to be another ESL in some format, but it will be a better package. Yeah. I'm just hoping that we're in that package next time, because it looks like the way we're going, we're not going to be in that package.
Yeah. We'll talk, because if we're not careful, Leicester will be in there instead of us.
100. They're
actually moving in the right direction. They're picking up trophies. They're finishing quite high. And I don't know if they get Champions League, but again, it will be a top 6 finish by the looks of it. And then they keep growing. So we got to be really careful, man. We're really at a crossroads right now. We're really at a sliding doors moment. And Levy has probably got to buck his ideas up in the summer.
Fast.
But listen, Tottenham fans, strap in, because we ain't got nothing really to look forward to. Like, the ride we're going to go on in the next few seasons, we're probably going to have to get worse. We're probably going to have to get worse before we get better. And I reckon it'll be 5 or so years before we start building up again. Because if we're looking at the direction the club's going in, it's likely Kane's going to leave eventually. Maybe not this season, because obviously the financial issues, no one's really got the money. If Kane wants to leave, I don't think we should hold him captive. He's been loyal to us. He's been good to us. If he wants to leave, I'm saying let him go. I don't want to hold him prisoner. Although I'm obviously a Spurs fan before I'm a Harry Kane fan. I think if anyone deserves to be winning trophies, it's him. He should go. Again, like I said before, I can't see us shifting the deadwood, unless we bring in a good director of football and Levy, steps back a little bit. I feel like it's going to be a long time before we see consistent progress at Tottenham.
Do you know what, though? I'll look, because I want you lot to say, I'm going to ask the question, because at the beginning of the season, we looked at the players that come in, and I know it was all there's different debates about the Gareth Bale, but in general, I think everybody was kind of like, yeah, Gareth Bale's coming. We've got a decent squad. Obviously, being at top around about the Christmas time, whatever it was, I was hopeful that we not going to win it, but we'll be in and around that top 4. So in essence, what I'm saying is the squad looked like it was good enough at the time. What we don't have as Spurs is confidence, is that ability to be able to take that next step to do and win the games which you're supposed to. We are, I think, second in comparison to Brighton for losing games from winning positions. So if we can tweak something like that, there was a possibility that we could have been a lot higher than we are now. And if you get that sort of side of things, we could have been around about 3rd, 4th, potentially, given the points. We would have all probably sat here and thought, that's not too bad a season, because at the end of the day, Spurs need to be in and around there. I would have loved us to win that Carabao Cup. I would have loved us to compete in the FA Cup. I would have taken that and where we are now. Had we won the Carabao Cup, I would have taken that all day and be comfortably. And I say that with my chest, because I want to win a trophy. The top 4 business to me don't make no sense if you ain't got no chance of winning it. So being in the Champions League, great. You might attract this player, you might attract that player, but we ain't got realistic chance of winning the Champions League when you got the likes of Bayern, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United. They're all better than us. And then you've got all the Spanish teams as well. So think about it. Being in the Champions League is only going to just to be able to watch stuff on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night. Nah, man, I want to see a trophy in the house.
I agree fully, because I feel like, listen, the Champions League is great. You attract better players and you like to see your team play against the best teams in the world, of course. But people are very quick to dismiss the importance of the Carabao Cup. You see Pep's reaction to winning it. Them man were ecstatic. Yeah, I need to have that feeling again. Last time I had it, I was a young buck. I've seen one trophy in my lifetime. I want to see a Carabao Cup, a FA Cup. Football's all about winning trophies. Even you play Sunday League football, you win the North London Cup or whatever it is. It's excitement. I need that feeling. And
that was my one gripe with Pochettino. As much as I loved him, I was really pissed off how he dismissed the domestic cups.
100%.
When we went to Europa, he dismissed that as well.
We could have foreign managers do that.
Yeah, and it really grates on me now, because we had chances where we could have easily won something, and we should have. But he really didn't take it seriously. And even in the final against Chelsea, when he put Son at left wing back, stuff like that, you're just like, what are you doing? We could have and should have won something. Now we're nowhere near where we were. But, we all say, even on here, we've all said Daniel Levy's a smart guy. He knows it. He can see it for himself where we are and what we need. So I'm just hoping and praying that he does what he needs to do this summer. Because as much as we are, right now we feel that we're so far off. And I do feel like when you look at when Jose leaves a club, a lot of their fan base and players, they feel like that. But if the right manager comes in and we make the right tweaks, I feel we can get back in the top 4 next year. I really do. Because like you were saying, Sam,
I think so.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Because if you look at the amount of points we dropped, it's like 21, 22 from winning positions. Even if you half that, we would be in the top 4 right now, comfortably.
100%.
So
half of them points. Not even all of them, half
exactly,
of them.
half. It's
not.
not.
What I'm saying?
I know right now we're in a bubble, innit? And it feels so bad. But I think with just a few tweaks and just a few players coming in and the shit ones going out, we can challenge again.
But my issue is I don't see that happening. We every Spurs fan on the planet knows what players need to leave.
Yeah,
that's facts, and there's at least 8 to 10 of them. That won't happen. It won't happen.
It's true.
I've got a question for you guys. So what next now? Because we're on a 13-year drought. Yeah, we brought in a serial winner in Mourinho, won everything, won something everywhere he's been, and we've got Kane leaving, no manager. Who do we bring in? What style do we adopt? Is it?
Yeah, my point on it is that I think you can bring in this player, you can bring in that player, you can bring in this manager, that manager, you can bring in a Campos, you can bring in a Rangnick at the top, whatever it may be. I think this is beyond footballing matters. I think this is the culture of the football club that needs to change. I think the mentality from the top is not right and it filters down to the players. And I think this isn't going to be a quick fix. And I don't know if it is ever going to be, I don't think we'll ever be repaired. I don't know. Because when we needed Daniel Levy the most to get the money out of his pocket and to get us over that line, he never did it. So I don't think he's going to do it now. I don't think he does. And I don't think that next season we're anywhere near the top 4. To be completely honest with you lot, completely honest, I'm thinking at least mid-table. That's me being generous. And I'm being honest. I'm being honest because it's going to be a transitional period. We're going to have to get rid of the deadwood and we're going to bring in the new players. If you're going to do that, and that's what we're saying, we want a rebuild, you've got to gel all the new group together. Look at Frank Lampard with even all the money he spent with Chelsea, 60, 70 million players. We won't be spending that. We'll be buying 20, 15, 25 million players. They're not even going to have the quality that these players have. And I argue that,
Sorry, I'm just going to say, I want you to finish your point though. If you look at the teams that are in and around, forget the Manchester Cities and Liverpool's, forget them lot. But the ones that are in and around us, like the Evertons, I guess, like the Leeds, the Villas, who else? Arsenal, I guess. They didn't have to do too, like I said, Leeds have come up. They've got a way of playing. Now, if you put their team squad, you put Spurs squad, you're probably going to pick more Spurs players to play than you would Leeds players. But Leeds have got a way of playing. They've got an identity. They clearly know what they're doing in terms of the management style, and they allow their players to play. I agree with what you're saying. Unless we fix some of these problems, we ain't going to get that. So we need to fix and address those problems. But I don't think we're so far off that we're going to drop down to like 12 or so. Because the gap between the 6 and then down to the likes of Brighton is quite a lot. You know what I'm saying? I know that the Premier League's very, very competitive. But realistically, more often than not, a Spurs team with motivation and at least a manager that can get them to play should beat the majority of teams. That's what we need to get back to. But again, we're Spurs. Mentality-wise, we're just not able to get over that line. So I'll fear for us on Sunday because a game we need to win, we never seem to win the games we need to win.
This is what we are, bro.
You're a Maggie. You're a Maggie.
This is what we are. Bottle job.
Yo,
it's in the DNA of the squad. That's what it is. Every time, forget cup finals and semi-finals. Every time Tottenham are playing in this, if we win this game, we go above so and so, and we go into top 4. We draw or we lose. How much times have we seen in the last 5 years? It's in the DNA of the club. It's ingrained in some of these players. Until there's a big overhaul, nothing's going to change. And I hate to be negative.
And this is why that Carabao Cup for me, had we just allowed Jose to possibly be in charge for a few days longer, don't get me wrong, after the Everton game, I said he's a dead man walking. But to get rid of him just before that cup final, when he's probably the most likely person to be able to beat Pep Guardiola on the day, we should have at least allowed him to do that. And if he didn't win it, see you later. That mentality shift, I think, would have been monumental for the club. It would have bought Daniel Levy a little bit more time. Let's say, going back to the Poch era, had he won an FA Cup or won a Carabao Cup or even the Europa, it would have bought the whole club and the management and obviously the board a little bit more time. And we wouldn't be here saying, I'll get him out. But because we ain't got nothing for all the hard work that I guess that we put in as fans supporting this team, the players ain't the same. They're not doing that same thing. And that mentality has to change. And it can only come by winning those important games and lifting a trophy, no matter what significance it is, no matter what sort of level it is, it's got to be done. Forget about these Champions League and winning leagues. Start again. Think about the domestic cups, which we can win. We could win that next year. We could win an FA Cup next year. Why not?
I don't know if we can compete though. I think there's just teams that are just so far better than us, and I think the teams around us as well. Sam, you mentioned like the Evertons and the Woolwich lot and all that. Like they're not improving, but the Evertons and the Leicesters are getting stronger, and the Uniteds are getting stronger, and the City are relentless, up, up, up. Liverpool might have to do a little bit of a rebuild, but us, we're kind of like at this moment in time, we can all agree there's nothing to signify that we're in a positive way. Maybe in the summer, I don't know, but I don't think it's a short-term thing. I think it's a long-term thing. I'm thinking 5 years. I think like half a decade, like 5 years.
I agree. That's why I said strap in. It's a long way.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, man. I think if we get the right manager in, like Sam was saying, we need an identity. Once you get a manager in that has an identity, he obviously gets in some players that fit his ethos and his system. We get rid of some players, which is normal. Everyone does. I do think we'll be a lot better. Jose coming in was a short-term fix. We wanted to get some trophies. It didn't work, obviously, so that has set us back. Then we haven't had a manager. So right now, we don't have a manager, we don't have a system, we don't have an identity, and our star players has openly said he basically wants to leave. So right now, we're in the gutter, we're in the mud. But I do think once we get a manager in, and he's the right manager, then things will start to look up again. We're crap, we are, but we're not. It's not as bad as it seems right now. When you look at the teams around us and where we should be, I think with a few additions and obviously the right man in, I think things will look a lot better next year. I really do.
And do you remember 2013 when Gareth Bale was leaving and we all knew he was leaving and we was like, I remember that point. I was just like, oh, this is it. Gareth Bale's gone. We ain't gonna. Yeah. And then what the board done was just smart. They did all this thing and they bought all these 7 players. So we was all gassed up again.
And they were shit.
And they were shit. But in hindsight, they were shit players. But when we was going through that summer, it was like, oh, we got this player. This player. And I was like buzzing. Ericsson, this is wicked. Obviously, they're rubbish players. Only Ericsson's probably the one. Lamella, you could probably say. All the rest of them. No.
Not Lamella.
Okay. I'll take that back.
Not the worst one out there. There was bad players there. Listen, there was very bad players in that crop. Yeah, but see Paulinho.
Nah.
You see Paulinho.
Kirikesh.
Kirikesh was shocking, but see Paulinho. This brother, I remember going to the lane every other week. I've seen this brother take shots from outside the box and it go out for a throw-in. How did my man bag a move to Barca? How did he bag a move to Barca?
It was terrible.
Bro, if my man could be playing for Barca, Winks be playing for Tottenham, why have I not made it?
That's true. When you look at it like that. Yeah. But we do that to players, though, don't you think? Any player that's got some potential, he's this player, he's the next player, he's going to be this. What was the name of that guy that we brought in as a striker from
Soldado?
Not Soldado.
Janssen.
Oh my God.
Mate. Oh my God.
Do you see the sort of mistakes that we make when we scout? This brother was supposed to be the balls. He's gonna be this. He's gonna bang. He's banging them up in his league. Comes to Spurs, we just take everything, drained everything. Darren Bent the same, drained every last bit of his confidence, gone. And we turn them into shit players. Then they might start going somewhere else and they do a little bits and pieces. But in essence, we don't use the talent that we got. We've had so many great players come through our team, and somehow we seem to just dissolve all of that from the players mentality wise, because the club drains it from them. The mentality of the club, as Cenk was saying, has to change. We can only change that by having more of a winning mentality, and we've got to start the foundations smaller and lower than we actually are at the moment. This Champions League and league thing, forget that. Just go back to basics and get FA Cup.
We need to humble ourselves.
Humble ourselves for real.
Yeah. I think as well. I think Daniel Levy thinks top 4 is like a trophy sort of thing. I think he looks at that as a success. He looks at that. If we get top 4 this season, he thinks that's a successful season. If we win a FA Cup and we finish 9th, he doesn't look like it's a successful season. There's a difference in there's a out of touch with the mentality compared to the fan base.
Tim Sherwood used to say it all the time, bro. You come out in press conferences and say, "Listen, we're not making top 4." He's alluding to the chairman thinks we can make top 4. We're not a top 4 club. We ain't got the players with the mentality. And at the time, I remember thinking, how was our manager coming out and saying these things? What's he talking about? But now when you actually realise, the chairman sees, like you say, the chairman sees top 4 as a trophy. And that's the aim every season, regardless of the squad we have or how much money is invested. I want to see cups.
Yeah, we got blinded by that top 4 business. That top 4 business has clouded so much issues in football for me. Because you think about it, 4 teams in our league are going to play in the Champions League, but only one champion in there. The others are just also runs. Do you know what I'm saying? I know you've got to make up the competition, but realistically, the gap that I've seen in the past, remember when City were getting 100 points, the gap to then the 4th place team was something almost close to 40 points. That can't be right. That's a massive gap between the best and 4th, and you're competing in the same competition and expecting to win. This is what I'm saying about Spurs. How can we even think about winning the Champions League? I know we got to a final, but realistically, we should never have been in that final. How can we get top 4, be about 30 odd points off City, and then realistically think the next season we're going to beat them or Bayern Munich or Liverpool, and we got no history in the Champions League anyway? That ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. We've got to be real with football here. Football is about that basis, and those were the teams like Real Madrid. When you get to a quarterfinal, no matter how badly they've played in their season, the mentality is that we can win this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we can get to this final because we've done it 13 times before.
You know when I knew that this club was on banter? So much players have left Tottenham and have won a trophy since we last have. Nkudu for one. A 38-year-old Jermaine Defoe has gone and won a trophy since we've last won one. Man is 38.
It's embarrassing.
Jermaine Defoe. I didn't even know man was still playing football until I saw the Rangers lineup. I thought, Jesus, he's still about. A man's gone and won the league with them before we've last won a trophy. It's crazy. Why would top players like Kane want to stay here? Man seeing Nkudu and them man winning cups. It's crazy.
When you say it like that.
Patrick, you hit the nail on the head, by the way. We do lack identity, 100%. Yeah. But in terms of moving
forward, football, I've said it, bro. Identity.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of moving forward, who would be an ideal candidate for the job? Who's got such a massive task?
I'll take him.
It's going to be
Graham Potter.
Do you rate his recruitment so far?
I like the type of football that Graham Potter and Brighton play. They play attacking football. They create a lot of chances. It's just a shame that Potter's not got the best attackers to deal with. If he implements that type of style and that type of football with the Tottenham squad that we have, or with a few new additions, I can see us at least being entertaining to watch. Most likely finish higher than we're going to this season. But like I've said, until things change higher up, then whoever we bring in, even if we were to bring in Pep, not that he would ever. Even if we were to bring in Pep, nothing would change with who we've got above us.
I agree.
I think though as well. Sorry, I think regardless, like if we all like Potter's football, I think it is a risk, and I think we all have to accept that because at the end of the day, the guy is near the relegation zone. But we're saying he's got a good brand of football. He's got a clear idea, clear philosophy, and that's what we need. We need all the players to buy into something. Hopefully, it'll be that. But if you look at his career, so it was Ostersund's, Swansea, and then Brighton. So he's slowly making a step up. If he comes to Spurs, a job like Spurs, the pressure is on, and I don't think he can relate to the clubs he's before he's been at. So it's a big test of his character, A, and B, can he undergo a project like this in an operation? Because it's a big one, boys. You got your best player, your best players questions in the air and stuff. Yeah.
The reason I don't mind is because, like Sam said, I'm happy to start again. We brought in arguably the most decorated manager in world football in Jose Mourinho. Although it was probably the wrong appointment at the time, it seemed like a quick fix just to get the most out of them players. Why should we now then go for a big manager like Ten Hag or whatever? I'm more than happy to humble myself, start again, try Potter. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It can't get any worse than we're at now. I'm happy to start again.
And I hear that. I hear that.
It can. That's the problem. It can get worse than right now. We could end up 15th, 16th.
but if we finish the season 8th, no trophies, no European football, we finish 8th. Is that much worse than 15th?
Do you guys think? Do you think he has the character? Because believe it or not, we've got a lot of egos and a lot of off the field problems as well. There's a lot of, like I said, Kane. There's loads of players. The experienced core of this football club is dying, is rotten, and there's players that are going to be leaving this summer.
I was going to say the same thing, Cenk, in what you're saying about the players' mentality and the attitude. Until we get an identity, I think we've all agreed on that. And I don't think, personally, this is how I would look at it. I don't think we should be thinking of getting a manager in until we get the structure right. Get the director of football in. Decide what we're going to do. How do we want to play? Are we rebuilding? Are we going for trophies? If you make that decision, right, it's a rebuild. You get the manager in to do the rebuild and you say to the fan base, this is a 3 to 5 year project. Don't expect us to be winning Champions League or league titles in that time. Set us our expectations. We're cool with that. If you bring someone in like an Ancelotti, the expectations are different. You're thinking, Ancelotti, he's not coming to rebuild. He's coming to win trophies. But then if you don't buy the players or don't back him to do that, what's the point? So until you get the strategy and the philosophy that you want as a club, which is a director of football's a role, we could get in Graham Potter, we could get in Ten Hag, we could get in this. It ain't gonna change. We might get a bounce, but it ain't gonna change over a long period of time. We got to look at this as a long-term project. If we are going to look at it that way, as we did with Poch, because that was a risk when we got Poch in, but it worked out because he galvanized what he had. It took him about 18 months to get the players out he didn't want, and then we were seeing the fruits of it. Graham Potter would be a great person to get the football, but he's going to be, or it looks and appears to me that he'd be a yes man. So if it's just Graham Potter and the next level up is Daniel Levy, I know what's going to happen. It needs to be Graham Potter, director of football, then Daniel Levy, so that we can do that and make it work. This is what I'm saying. It's got. I'm out
here looking like a bobblehead because I'm agreeing with Sam all episode. But no, it's facts. It's facts.
Yeah,
facts. Oh man, this team does my head in, man. I can't deal with it no more. I can't take it.
But yeah, no, we need Ralph Rangnick in, and then I would love to get Ten Hag in, and then that we have a clear identity, a clear direction. I was reading some stuff on Ralph Rangnick when he was at Leipzig. He was only recruiting 22 and 23-year-olds max. They had to have super energy, literally gag and press. They were press all day long, and then from there you got Hasenhüttl, Tuchel, Klopp, all these guys basically worked with him, and they basically adopted his identity and then pushed on and became their own managers. So,
with that, what you said about Hasenhüttl, Patrick. Sorry, I know I'm chatting a lot, but that Hasenhüttl, do you know what he does? Every session from the under nines all the way through to the first team are the same type of sessions. Obviously, the ability is going to be different, but everything's structured in the same way, so that when the players progress, they progress into a team. We know what we're doing because we've played this at under nines, under 12s, under 15s, under 18s, 23s. And he goes to all the sessions to make sure that they're doing the same things as he would do in the first team. Now, obviously, his success is going to be tempered by his abilities, but there's a clear path.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think Poch implemented the same thing with the under 23s and the under 18s. I don't know about below that, but I'm pretty sure the under 18s, under 23s, it was the same style, double training sessions and all of these things that he was doing with the first team.
When I read that about Hasenhüttl, when I read that, I'm thinking that, you know what? As much as we kind of, give him a bit of grief when he started crying when he beat Liverpool, but that just shows the man had a clear identity for the whole club, not just the first team, the whole club. I don't know what we do with our under 18s. I don't know what we do with the 16s. It's probably not the same thing that they were doing with Jose when Jose was in charge. It was a complete mismatch. You can't expect to get success if everybody is not on the same page. It's like going into a company that you work for. Unless everybody's pulling together and working together, it's just going to be a shower of shit, man. That's what we are at the moment.
And you're right, Callum, about Poch like implementing his ideas to the youth teams, because I think it was a pre-season game. And I think it was like a mixture of the underrateds and the under 23s, and it was like I was watching the Spurs first team. The way we was playing out from the back and the high energy, the higher press, it was literally like spot on. It was a similar way we was playing at the time. So that needs to happen. And Sam, as you were saying, when they do come up to the first team, because for me, youth academy is important. With Tottenham, it always has been. We might not have always produced the best players, and we have had some crap players come out of it. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, that's important for me as a Spurs fan. I think we need to try and utilize the academy more to our ability, because I think that's a big part of if you've got financial restraints, the academy is a place where if you can utilize it well, you can avoid spending 20, 30 million. You can give that chance.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, exactly that. And even some of the players like Lavinia, Niall John, etc.
Yeah,
there's players there that are hungry for chances, and I hope the next manager can give them something.
100%.
100.
All right, lads, I'm going to wrap it up. Been a pleasure having you on. Definitely. Look forward to having you guys on again. Cal, where can we find you?
Yeah, my Twitter at's down there. Like I said at the start of the episode, Never a Foul channel, Views from the Skywalk. Hopefully we'll be back sometime next week. And again, Ethan, thanks for having me on, bro.
Big love, man. Look forward to it again. Sam?
Okay, so on Instagram and Twitter at Sams_Spurs for life, as you can see there. Find me on YouTube, Paxton Road TV, also associated with FTB Sports Football. So yeah, just doing this, keep doing the Spurs thing whilst I can, man. Whilst I can.
Yeah, obviously at Jenkoy's Twitter, on Instagram as well. Obviously, I've got my little YouTube thing with the Spurs web, so go and check that out. But obviously, remember to smash the like button and subscribe on this video.
100%.
Thanks to Ethan.
Smash that like.
Yeah, smash the likes up, people. And obviously, thanks Ethan for bringing me on. It's been good. Good little therapy session.
Yeah, for real.
I needed it.
And yeah, no, thanks, Ethan. Thanks for having us on, man. It's been nice, man. It's been good catching up with the boys and chopping it up. And you can catch me on Twitter, Patrick Tyrant, and my show is Views TV Official. So it's all in the handle. And yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
We need to do another 50 minutes of therapy sometime.
Sometime.
I have to. This I feel better. I feel better within myself already.
Yeah, weight off the shoulders, for real.
100%. But yeah, guys, been a pleasure. Appreciate it. Big love, man. Everyone, smash the like, smash the sub.
Yeah.
Nice one.